Hello my sweet friends and welcome to DIY with Nadia. Today I'm making a Christmas cross wreath. It's made out of evergreen picks from the Dollar Tree, and we're also doing a step-by-step bow tutorial. Let's get started. Here are the basics you're going to need for this wreath. Of course, you're going to need a metal cross-shaped wreath form, and these I tend to find often at my Dollar Trees. Then these come around during Christmas time, so watch out for these. As soon as the Christmas stuff comes out, these are going to go fast because they are amazing. They come in a pack of 6, and they come in 3 different ways. Plain, they come with these gold specks like this, or you can find them with this faux snow, and these are really nice for farmhouse. Of course, because I have so many with the gold specks, I actually got these at 50 cents each after Christmas at Dollar Tree. But because of the gold specks, I'm going to stick to the gold theme. Then you're going to need some sort of a green ribbon. To finish off the bow, I'm going to be using a combo of gold and red ribbon because I thought this would look perfect for a classic wreath. So I'm going to be using those, and of course you are going to need some floral wire or hot glue. While my hot glue was heating up, I had a little friend come over. Do you want to say hi to everyone? Leo says hello. I have my cross wreath here, and I'm going to grab ribbon, and this ribbon's fairly on the thin side because I want to use floral wire, and I want to make sure that my floral wire is going to go through. Instead of using ribbon, another option could be using garland that you have on hand. The reason I'm not using my garland is because I felt like this pick was actually just clashing with the dark green. This is more on that lighter green, and that is why I chose this ribbon, because I felt like it just flows with this pick, and I think the picks will stand out when using a lighter ribbon that's just going to be the base. To start on the base of the wreath, I'm going to put some hot glue on the end, just like that, and I'm going to wrap about 1 inch in right here and then fold it over so you have that bottom part covered, and it'll stick all together. Next, I'm just going to start wrapping around, and I also want this part to be nice and neat. And when I'm wrapping, I'm just going over this wired edge with my next wired edge, and that's it. And then wired edge over the last wired edge, and then once in a while a dot of hot glue right there, or a little line. I went a little heavy there, and then we're just going to go around and around. If you're wondering about my little hot glue protector, I get these at the Dollar Tree. They come 3 in a pack, which is kind of nice, and I've had this one for a long time, so they last, and they just make a very nice, helpful friend when you're using hot glue. No need to burn ourselves. I'm coming to the edge here, and I'm going to cover right here, and I'm going to give it a dot of hot glue right there before I make my way to the top. I'm just zigzagging straight to the back. Don't forget, we're going to have a big old bow right here, and we're still going to cover this part. When it comes to this, I'm going to squeeze this side of the ribbon, and then I'm going to give it just a little bit of hot glue. And that way I'm going to continue going, and you're going to have the same look as on this side. Especially if you're going to hot glue the little picks onto your wreath, this is going to be a nice way to keep the back nicely. On the end, I'm going to come around. This is where you kind of use a little bit more hot glue because you want to make sure that all of this looks good. And I'm going to straighten out my ribbon just like this. Give it a little bit of hot glue on that edge right there to bring these two together. Then the tail I cut off, I'm just going to hot glue right there, and then give it a lot of hot glue right here and on the inside, and bring it over. And there you go, a nice neat fold. Now I'm going to repeat the same process going from side to side of the cross. If you are not able to find these picks, you can find something similar to this at your local craft store. This one I got at Joann's, and the cool thing about this one, this is wired. And as far as these guys, only the center is wired. This part is not wired, but on these, everything is wired. So you can open them up, you can close them up, whatever you need to do. And you just layer them and off it goes. And they do have some with berries and some just like this. And you do basically the same thing we're going to be doing, which is layering them on and going across your wreath form. But as you can see, these are a little bit darker than this, so my bright ribbon looks a little strange with this. Now I'm grabbing my floral wire and I'm going to cut about 5-inch little wire pieces. And I'm going to show you from the long end of the cross because this top is really easy to do. It's the hardest to take care of this bottom part. Let's get started with the Dollar Tree picks. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use these 2 little branches to cover the corner of our little cross. There you go. So that's covered. And then of course we're going to need to cover these sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the next pick and right there where the 3 little branches unite underneath, I'm going to give it a little bend. I'm going to take the next pick and right underneath the connection, I'm going to bend it the other way and I'm going to put it right there. Now I have 3 I can put together. Grabbing my floral wire, I'm going to go through the 3 of them. You can hardly see my wire. I'm going to just give it a few twists here. Set it exactly where I need it to be. I'm pushing my wire through on both sides of these bars right here on these 2 center ones. Then going to the back and giving it a few twists. After I twist it, I'm going to fold it and fold it back like I usually do. The reason I put it around both bars is, first of all, look at this, it's solid. Second of all, if you put it through the center, you have a chance of them either falling out or something like that. This way, the bars are holding the branches in place. At this point, I'm going to cut off these long stems here because I don't want them to show while I'm putting the next layer on. And basically from now on, I'm going to be getting rid of these because we want to make sure we're just covering and moving on. I feel like this one needs to be straight. It's hard to see from the side. There you go. Does that look good? Yes. Now that I see how I like it, I'm going to take this one because this one's in the center. I kind of want to make sure that that one's nice and secured. After the middle one is secured, I'm going to attach this next pair, and that is exactly what I'm going to be doing, just moving on and just layering them, making sure they look nice. But the most important thing, if you're not using a hot glue gun, make sure you put that wire over the 2 middle rows right here on the cross. That way you know it's nice and secure. This is how much I have done so far. I've used up 2 packs and 2 more branches from the next pack kind of, and so it's nice and full. If I feel like it needs anything added later on, we can definitely do that. Now I'm going to do the corners here, and don't forget, we are going to have a bow here. And as we're doing the sides, they're all going to face towards the center. So my branches on this side are going to face this way. These are going to face this way. And the ones at the top are going to face this way. They're all going to face in. To make it easier, I'm just going to remove the little wires. And we're going to do the same thing we did at the bottom, which is bring one all the way to the top. That's going to be our main one. And then we're going to bend one this way to cover this area. Bend another one this way to cover this area. And we may be done here because, as I said, my bow is going to be a multi-layer bow, so it's going to take up this area. For right now, I'm going to just put my wire through the center to unite all 3. And then I'm going to follow the same pattern to the sides. Now it's time to make a bow, and I'm going to be using my bow maker just because it's so much easier when you're layering ribbon to be using one of these. The first ribbon I'm going to use that's going to be against the green is the gold, just because it's the brightest one and it's going to give you the most impact and I guess the most brightness. So I'm going to grab this. So I'm going to grab this ribbon, and this ribbon was thrifted. So I'm going to grab this ribbon. This ribbon was thrifted, so I'm not quite sure where it was from originally. And the first thing I want to do is I want to see how big I want my loops to be. On my measurement, the loop that I measured is 10 inches. So on my bow maker, I'm going to make 5-inch loops. First, I want to measure the tail, and this time I don't want my tails to be too long. And this ribbon is double-sided. It does have a front and a back. So the first I'm going to do is I'm going to twist it because I want my tail to be that sparkly gold. And then I'm going to go to the 5 inches right here. Measure off my 5 inches, and I'm going to twist. Measure off my next 5 inches and twist again. And I'm going to make 4 loops. Before cutting my tail, I want to make sure that they're the same size. And I'm going to put this tail on top. This one, I believe, is from the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree usually has this one around Christmas time. I'm going to measure my tail. And I want my tail to be just a little longer than my loops. And I'm going to do the same thing here, which is I'm going to make it the same length loops, which is 5 inches. And I'm going to do 4 loops. I'm just going to measure against this one. And as you saw, my first bow, I started at the bottom, ended on top. My second layer, I started with my tail on top and ended at the bottom. This is just me balancing things out. This next ribbon is a little bit on the short side. This is really kind of left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on here, and I'm going to do 3-inch loops, hoping that this will carry me through. Let's see here, 3 inches. And I think I am good with it. I think this is perfect. Perfection. So I got my 3 inches, and of course, started at the top, right on top of the red, and ended right on top of the red. With this ribbon, I'm going to start on the side of the gold. And with this ribbon, I'm not going to twist because it pretty much looks the same on both sides. And we're going to keep to that 3-inch mark. All right, and I managed to do 3 inches on this bow too. We should be all set. Now I'm going to grab my zip tie and just grabbing it by the center just as it is. I'm going to zip tie this bow together. Cut this off. Grabbing another zip tie, I'm going to go across our bow and straight onto our wreath. Let's flip this in the back. Let's bring the zip tie together. And I'm really making it tight in the back. My bow is on already, but before I straighten that out, I'm going to cover the back. The way I want to do this is I'm going to put a nice solid line of hot glue right there. Put my ribbon, and then fold my ribbon right on that edge. I'm going to hot glue kind of very lightly. Then I'm going to go 1 inch above here, fold it over, and I'm just going to put the hot glue right on the ribbon so I know exactly how much I'm going to need. Same thing on this side. I want this wreath to be permanent. That is why I use the wires. So I wanted to make sure that I cover that up. Look at this, nice, beautiful, and it's covered. To hang the wreath, I'm grabbing some floral wire, and I'm grabbing a good chunk of it. Going to fold it in half because this one's a little bit on the softer side. And all I'm doing is I'm twisting it, and I'm going to twist the other side too. Now this wire is twice as strong. I fed my wire through the 2 center rows before they hit that intersection so that we can have a nice balanced wreath. I'm going to take 1/3 of the wire, and on the other side I'm going to have 2/3 of the wire. I'm going to give it 2 twists, and the longer wire, that's going to be our loop. We're just going to loop it just like this. This is our longer one. And then I'm going to twist it. I'm going to give it a few twists, and then I'm going to bring the second one and then twist it around the neck of the actual loop. And so basically I'm locking it in. I like using this technique because you don't have to use really heavy duty wire that's heavy on your hands. You just use a softer wire, but make it strong by twisting it. That's it. Now I have a good solid connection to hang the wreath and start prettying things up. You're just balancing things out. You have red here and then red to the sides. You're the boss here. Tell the ribbon where to go. These center ones, I'm just opening them up and twisting them and doing the same thing to the gold ones. Basically, we're going to have a poof and then nice organized little bow on the outside of that. If your loops don't want to listen like this one over here, give it a little twist and put in place. Once you have your bow all sorted out, now it's time to cut the tails. And you can either do the dovetails or you can do an angled tail. I'm going to do angled. That's just what I'm in the mood for. And then I'm going to cut this one a little shorter. These two are going to be a little longer, which is fine. And I'm going to turn this around and do the exact same thing on this side. Now it's time to look around and see if you want to add any more greenery, if you feel like your wreath needs it. And that's it. We are done with this gorgeous and very simple wreath.